Hi, I'm Marty Cohn, and welcome to Episode 5 of Grace Cottage Hospital's Healthcare Matters, a monthly show that brings you timely information on health-related topics. Grace Cottage Family Health and Hospital is an independent healthcare facility located in Townsend, Vermont, just 17 miles north of Brattleboro. Among its services are primary care, rehabilitation, 24/7 emergency care. Its mission is to promote wellness, relieve suffering, and restore health. We're getting ready for another holiday season. For some of us, that means holiday parties and get-togethers, and more opportunities to indulge. Also, as we approach the season, there's talk about winter blues and seasonal funk. On this show, we will be discussing ways to be good to your mind, your body, and your spirit throughout December and into the winter. Our guests are Deb Brown, a registered nurse and diabetes educator, and Caroline Chase, behavioral health therapist. Both are members of Grace Cottage Community Health Team that offers free services to area residents. Welcome, Deb. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Marty.
So, you are a registered nurse and a diabetes educator for the Grace Cottage Community Health Team. I know you help a lot of people who are suffering from diabetes, but with the holidays and the long winter approaching, let's talk about some tips for all of us who are weight and health conscious.
Okay.
First off, do you have any general guidelines for one's daily diet?
I do. First off, most people feel that if they skip meals, they're going to lose weight, and that's not sustainable. So the first thing to do is eat at regular times. So have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Also, eat at the table. Don't sit in front of your computer and be mindless. So think about what you're doing. Chew your food. Eat from various food groups. Avoid processed foods. So that's my advice.
Okay, good advice, because I tend to be guilty about sitting at my computer while eating. So throughout the month of December, we're going to be attending parties and those family get-togethers. What advice do you have for those times when we're exposed to food temptations?
That is true, around the holidays especially. So I suggest to people that they do not arrive at parties hungry. So eat something, have some protein, some complex carbs in the form of whole grains and vegetables, have a salad, so that when you go to the party, you're not starving and tempted to graze. So that's my suggestion.
Okay, another thing that I am guilty of. All right, well, let's go to the third thing. I know I'm already regretting this question, but what about those delicious desserts? Do we have to skip them?
No.
Oh, good.
Not really. I mean, you should be mindful and make good choices. So if you see desserts that you absolutely have to have, perhaps skip the stuffing with the meal, and especially the rolls if they're a white flour, which is easily digested, turns to sugar in your body faster than a whole grain. Skip that, and then either share a dessert with another person, or have a few bites of a couple that you absolutely would love to eat.
Okay, I think I could do that one. I actually share with my wife a lot, so that's great. All right, well, here comes this one. Eggnog, mulled wine, Christmas cocktails. Mm-hmm. What do you suggest about drinking?
Have a glass of water in your hand and sip it along with a cocktail. It fills you up because alcohol is dehydrating. You want to stay well hydrated. And when it comes to eggnog, if you just love eggnog, 3/4 of your glass could be milk, and then fill it with 1/4 of the eggnog so you're getting the flavor and you're not getting all the calories and all the fat and sugar. So you have to be mindful once again about choices.
Okay, well, I'm not a big eggnog person, but so the Christmas cocktails, drink the water. Okay, got it. So we're getting through the holidays and New Year's Eve. Do you have any other ideas for getting through the winter and staying healthy?
Make a plan, because we can, every single day of our lives, we have to exercise. We have to get out and walk. We know that 3 10-minute walks, one after each meal, reduces our blood sugars more efficiently than a 30-minute walk throughout any time of the day. So that's what I suggest. You can you can go and say it's rainy, it's snowy, it's too hot, it's too cold, but get out for a little walk. It does help you. It keeps you mentally clear. It keeps your depression in check. It helps anyway, and it helps you to feel better.
And even with the snow that's going to come, just get out there and walk.
I would.
Right.
Get your creepers on. If of course, you have to be safe. You don't want people to fall and break anything, but make a plan. Yeah.
I actually travel around with my snowshoes. Every once in a while, I'll just pull over and take a walk.
Perfect.
So, yeah, and we're in Vermont.
That's
these
right.
are things we should do. So I'd really be remiss, because I have you here as a diabetes educator. How common is diabetes in the U.S.?
21.1, I believe, or 23.1 million people have diabetes.
Say it again?
21.1 million.
Wow.
Yep. And another 70-something million are pre-diabetic, so they're not considered a diabetic, but their blood sugars are higher than normal.
And what's the difference? I hear that there's 2 different types, like type 1, type 2. What's
There's actually more than that, but we'll just focus on those 2. Type 1 is an autoimmune disease where the pancreas actually essentially stops producing insulin, which is a hormone that you need to get the glucose from your bloodstream into the cells to nourish them. The person must take injectable insulin. Type 2, generally speaking, is a disease of older people, but not always. And generally speaking, sedentary behavior and obesity are contributing, very, very big contributing factors. Oh. But it can be caused by other things as well, so it's not always that.
So how does someone know if they have diabetes?
Well, with type 2, there may be no symptoms at all. Sometimes people will come in with rashes or things that don't heal properly, and the practitioner will know that there's an issue, and they'll check their blood sugar, their A1C, which is a 3-month look back of your blood sugars, and they'll notice that their blood sugars are elevated. In addition to that, urinary frequency, increased thirst, increased hunger with weight loss because the body's not being nourished, tingling or numbness in the extremities, visual changes, many, because everything is affected by high blood sugar. Every part of your body, every organ in your body is affected. So, but not necessarily. Some people have no symptoms.
If someone does have diabetes, what could be done for them?
Well, the first thing they need to do if they're having any of those symptoms is see their practitioner. The practitioner has to assess to make sure that they do have it, and if so, then develop a plan for either medication or behavioral changes, which is where I come in. We know that behavioral changes in the form of improved nutrition and exercise can reduce or essentially get rid of prediabetes and manage very well, for the most part, type 2 diabetes and even type 1. So we focus on lifestyle.
So at the as part of the community health team, I could come and see you, and is there any charge for your services?
Not a dime. You can come as often as you want, Marty.
Really? And I could just call and make an appointment?
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for all that you're doing. Deb, thanks for taking the time to be on the show.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right back with Caroline Chase, a behavioral health therapist at Grace Cottage, after this brief message from the American Academy of Ophthalmology on choosing safe toys for children. And this is especially timely since December is Safe Toys and Gifts Month.
Thank you for your question and actually for taking the time to protect your children's vision. The following toy safety tips from the American Academy of Ophthalmology are a great place to start in selecting those eye-safe toys. First, avoid buying toys with sharp, protruding, or projectile parts. Also, avoid projectile toys such as bows and arrows, darts, or any kind of missile firing toy. Avoid those altogether. And as a general rule, choose toys that are appropriate for your child's age and abilities. Now, if you have children and you're responsible for buying children's toys of different ages, make sure that the younger children don't have access to the older children's toys. Now, some toys require more supervision than others. So buy only what you feel very comfortable in supervising safely for your children. Look for toys marked with the initials ASTM. That means that that product meets the national safety standards set by the American Society for Testing and Materials. Sports equipment should always include appropriate protective eyewear with polycarbonate lenses. Check with your local IMD to learn about those protective gear recommendations for your child's sport. You are the best protection for your child's vision. Set a good example by taking care of your own eyes and use good judgment when selecting those toys that your child plays with. To learn more about eye health or to ask an IMD a question, visit geteyesmart.org.
Welcome back to Grace Cottage Hospital's Healthcare Matters, a monthly show that brings you timely information on health-related topics. Our guest is Caroline Chase, behavioral health therapist at Grace Cottage. Welcome, Caroline.
Thank you.
All right, so you turn on the TV or radio, and it seems like everybody is having a great time celebrating the holidays. In your experience, is that true?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Actually, many of the people that I see, most of the people I see come in because they're not enjoying the holidays, and they're not particularly happy about the fact that the holidays are coming because it brings up a lot of depression and anxiety. A lot of times I will see people who have experienced a loss of some kind, whether it's through death or divorce, and it's the holidays are just particularly painful for them. So it's a tough time for a lot of people. It brings up a lot of feelings of what they have or what they don't have, and it's difficult. It can be difficult.
So so here we have these happy holidays, but yet it can be stressful. So
Right,
there are little
right.
triggers that
Yeah.
occur. So what advice do you have for people who don't feel very celebratory?
Well, the first thing is to acknowledge your feelings and just to say, this is how I feel. I'm sad or whatever. This is a tough time for me. And I think trying to reach out to people who do care about you, who are going to be supportive, is important. And if you're a member of a church, try to get involved in some of the church activities. It's also really helpful if you can reach out to people who maybe need support as well, so that you're not just focused on your own needs. And I think, just acknowledging that it's a difficult time can go a long way, and just saying, okay, I really don't have to be this happy person all the time.
Yeah.
I will get through this. It's not something that's going to last forever. And just know that the expectations sometimes can be self-imposed, so that there are things that you can do to just help you feel more in control.
Yeah, matter of fact, I've been reading about the upcoming community Thanksgiving and being able to volunteer, and my family has done that a lot, and it really does help.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
But what about, you're talking about folks who feel lonely and they want to be engaged, but they don't get any offers. So
Right. Well, I think that's where you really have to plan ahead. And if you know that if a particular holiday is going to be difficult for you, make sure that you contact people who can be there for you. If you plan ahead, then you know that if this is going to be a tough time, then you can make sure that there are going to be support systems for you. You don't just let the holiday come and then you're sitting there totally depressed.
All right, so here's one. I already think I got the answer to this one based on what you've said in the past. But so you're going to go home to your family, and like it or not, there's always going to be Uncle Bob who has that different political view, or your sister who's always, talking about your lousy childhood. I mean, not my sister, but but what should we do to prepare ourselves for those kind of family encounters?
Well, number one, you need to focus on what you have some control over, which is yourself, basically. You're not going to have any control over your sister who is, talking about the lousy childhood. So it's really better to put aside whatever differences you have, because there's nothing, it's just not an appropriate time to be discussing things that are going to be painful. So if you put it aside and if you plan ahead, again, planning ahead is important, and just say, okay, this may happen, but I'm not going to take the hook here, and I'm just going to avoid this. And so, you will get through it knowing that this may happen, but it is something that you can get through and that you're not going to fall apart.
Well, I think the idea of the preparation is really good. I know my wife and I, as we're driving down to see family, we'll often talk about what are the potential landmines, and
Right.
we'll figure out how we're going to get around it. Yeah. So preparation, I think that's a great tip. Yeah. We live in Vermont. It's pretty winters are coming. What advice do you have for staying mentally healthy in the months ahead?
Well, I think, again, this is where it's really important to deal with your stress level. Getting enough sleep is really important. Exercising, again, that's exercise is sort of a natural antidepressant, natural anti-anxiety med. Going for a massage, meditating, whatever tools that you've been able to use in the past is what you have to bring up now, because this is going to be a really, really stressful time. The other thing that's important is not to get in over your head financially. Stick to a budget so that you're not going to fall deeper in debt once the holidays leave, because that creates even more stress. So, again, it is the holidays, but it doesn't mean that the holidays have to do with just material things. It's really about relationships and love, and trying to bring some peace into your life.
Sure. So those holiday bills, the buying that you do in December, you get the bill in January, all of a sudden there's all that stress.
Yeah. No, sticking to a budget is really important.
I think that's a great, and that's something you should do all year round.
Right. And planning, just say, all right, I'm going to spend this much, on presents, and not go beyond that, because you don't want to, after the holidays, you really don't want to have added financial stressors in your life, because it's just not something that you want to be dealing with.
Sure, but and the other thing that you're saying is, just as we heard in terms of in terms of staying healthy physically, exercise, staying healthy mentally, exercise is important as well.
Right,
so,
absolutely.
The key operative here, exercise. So you're a short-term mental health therapist at Grace Cottage?
Well, I do counseling on a short-term basis, which usually involves several months. We also have a couple of people who do long-term counseling. So what I do is grant-funded, and there's no charge.
No charge?
Mm-hmm.
So how do I set up coming to see you?
So I'm on the community health team, so all you'd need to do is to call the community health team number, and I'm on the roster there, so you would just call that number and then connect to my extension.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Well, I wish you a happy holiday.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Caroline,
Thank
for
you very
coming
much.
on the show. I'd like to thank our guests, Deb Brown and Caroline Chase, and a shout out to Roland Boyden, who's doing all the magic behind the camera. Thanks also to BCTV for helping us bring this show to you. If you have any questions or ideas for future topics, send them to info@gracecottage.org. I'm Marty Cohn. Thanks for watching.